afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Lunch Hour VR. I'm your host, Max Noir. I'm here with my co-host, Edwin Rogers. You know him. He's great. And today we have an extremely special guest and a giveaway, so stay tuned. Please give a warm welcome to Keram MalickiSanchez. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
So before we jump into it, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we are giving away today 2 tickets to VRTO, which is an amazing event, and we're going to tell you all about it. But basically, it's one of XR's coolest events ever, which means that you have to participate so that you can make sure that you get there. So if you want to enter for the chance to win, you can check out the description of this YouTube video. It lets you know all the ways that you can potentially win the ticket. And one of those ways is we're going to be dropping a secret code word or a secret 2 code words sometime during this show. So make sure that you stay tuned in so that you can get the code word and then comment it in the video. So Keram, thank you so much for being here today. It's really great to have you. And where are you in the world?
I'm in Hollywood, California, and I'm sorry to all my friends in Canada who keep talking about gloomy days. I love you. I know the pain. I will be back soon. But yes, this is where my second home is, and it's hot today, which is awesome.
Beautiful. And how are you doing lately in terms of COVID and everything? Are you safe and healthy and happy?
Yep, I am. I'm good. I've been inside preparing for VRTO, so I rarely engage with the outside world. I'm gonna get my second shot on Wednesday.
Woo!
And, yeah, I've met a lot of Californians who are like, "Yeah, man, I'm done now," and I'm like, "What does done mean?" It's like 2 weeks after my second shot, so. You know, without getting into the whole thing, California was really, really bad when I was in Toronto. And then I came back to California. And now it's really, really good. And Toronto's really bad. But we'll get through this, everybody. We're going to get through this, everybody.
Gonna get through it.
Yep.
Well, congrats on your oncoming vaccination. That's really exciting.
Thank you. Thank you.
So could you tell us a bit about yourself? I know that you have a long history and a very exciting present, as well as you've been working on a bunch of stuff and you are working on a bunch of stuff. So please give us the rundown.
Okay. The focus for this show is that I run 2 major events every year. One of them is called the Festival of International Virtual and Augmented Reality Stories, aka 5Rs, which is a 7 years, almost 8 years festival that focuses on immersive content, spherical, interactive, AR, all of those disciplines, and is truly a joy in my heart because we get to meet so many cool people from all over the world making amazing things. And frankly, I don't know how else I would meet so many cool people unless I was randomly airdropping out of a helicopter around the planet. So that's really fun and beautiful. And then the other thing that we do is the VRTO conference, which is sort of like the pillar event that started in 2015 and then used to be a like really big terrestrial show. We would take over all of Ryerson University in Toronto, 800 to 1,000 attendees. We would have like 30 or 40 rooms that we're activating, doing huge like installations and pop-ups and 3 concurrent session tracks. And last year we had to figure out, well, first of all, in 2019, we started to consolidate it towards a simpler, leaner focus because people said, hey man, there's like too many good things going on and I'm missing stuff. And now philosophically, I liked the idea that you were overwhelmed and that you were crossing from one room to the next and synthesizing all these different estuaries and coming up with new concepts. But I could also understand why that could be overwhelming. And so we streamlined it to a central track. And then when we went online last year, we had to figure out what does that translate to. It sure didn't translate to a Zoom call for us. And I felt like we needed to put our money where our mouth was. So after a long story of research and attempts, we ended up at Mozilla Hubs. Hey, Amber, I hope you're feeling better. I really do. I'm going to make sure that we are matched up on Supernatural later this week. But it's not fair right now because you're in bed feeling a little under the weather. So we went to Mozilla Hubs, and we were one of the first like Hubs cloud clients. Now, what that means is Hubs, for people who don't know, is a 3D online virtual world that is fostered and hosted by the good team at Mozilla, and was, happily minding their own business, creating online 3D meeting spaces, when all of a sudden this enormous tsunami of, oh my God, all the festivals are and conferences are being shut down, had 1 million people knocking on their door saying like, hey, I need this and I need that. And how do we do a conference? So we were in the middle of all that. And I was fortunate enough to find a beautiful designer named Whistler up in Guelph, Ontario, Canada, who worked with me to build some environments based upon really best practices around like, how do you make an online space? So we did the show, and it was a month long. And that was because we thought we would spread it out, because you can, if you're online, just pace it out. And we ended up running like a 30-day conference that was like summer camp. And I was living in, because of COVID, I was living in this like second office for file storage from my dad's law firm, on a little mattress in the back corner, and then just like random computers in every room, realizing I was running like a live TV station for 30 days in VR. So that was educational. It was like a trial by fire for sure. And the group that was there, some of whom are here, was just so incredibly giving and generous and creative, and made it really the thing that it was. And then by the fall, we had to do the same with 5Rs. And it was like, now what do we do? This is a show that's literally about getting people to come to the place to have access to equipment that they normally wouldn't have, and having like docents and attendees to help them understand it, how to use it, how to do panels. Like, how do you translate this? So I went to my friends over at Janus, which was a web technology that had emerged out of the original Janus VR, created by James McRae and Dr. Karan Singh. Now, those two people are interesting because Karan Singh was a professor at University of Toronto who happened to be one of the co-creators of Maya software and one of the pioneers behind facial animation. And James went on to be like CTO or something at Magic Leap. And when they kind of left the project from the trying to fund it and commercialize it phase, James Baikayanu took it over and made it into a web-based technology called Janus Web. And so I knew this was sitting around as open source code. And I said, I remember from like 2015 that this was the fastest engine I've ever seen for handling 360 video on the web. Like way back then, they were throwing like Christmas trees where every orb was like a video. Switching between rooms was instantaneous. It was just such a fast engine. So I said, let's customize this and at least handle the 360 part. And we did. Like with five weeks of runway, we crafted this world for showcasing 360 videos. And I'll add one more detail here. For the VRTO conference in June, the Canadian Film Centre, as a sort of a co-sponsorship, set us up with their incubator. We have a long relationship, and they were like, yeah, we want to help foster your work. So they got us into an Amazon Web Services program that gave us a big overhead of credit to experiment with Amazon Web Services. This is a run-on sentence, but I might as well get into it. So Amazon Web Services, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, because I didn't really at the time, is a way to rent CPU power, to rent storage space, to rent streaming, transcoding, AI, machine learning, like anything you want, you can rent it from Amazon Web Services. And we had a bunch of credit. So we were like, let's throw everything we can at this and see what it can do. Amazon Web Services powers Netflix and Hulu and Crackle and like half the web, really. That's how Amazon makes most of its money. So we were running like 4K video, but in stereo, which is like 2 times 4K resolution video in the browser. And we had to do it so that there was no buffer time, that it was like instant playback. And James like totally figured that out, but we kept hitting a ceiling. Like Amazon's like, you don't need that much bandwidth. And we're like, yes, we do. And we're going to figure it out in 5 weeks. So we did that. And then by the spring of this year, we launched a new edition of 5Rs for the first time in our 7-year history, which was 5Rs in Feb, because 5Rs was originally based in October because of the Toronto Film Festival. But we were kind of lonely not being around where Tribeca, Sundance, South by, all that was. And we wanted to make sure that we could rep artists who had work coming out at that time. So we made a new edition, and we did the second show. And so now that's what we're doing. We're prepping for VRTO 2 in the web. And we call it the flotilla because it's a way to tether all the different worlds, all the different WebXR experiences to one place and kind of bring all the different groups together as a symposium to say, let's talk about this, you know, in all categories like health, game design, virtual production, virtual economies, avatars, education, all that stuff. Like all of it's happening.
Can we show a little bit about so that the audience can see a little bit of your work?
Of course, please do.
Yeah, so we'll start with showing 2019 VRTO, okay, and then you can tell us a little bit about it.
All right.
Or I guess that wasn't 2019, but tell us a little bit about what we just saw.
Yeah, that was 2020's. That was the virtual edition, and you saw there a bunch of the different worlds. Like you saw Pearl Hyacinth had a space in Second Life, and then Metastage, our friend Christina Heller, brought her whole crew, the whole Metastage team, for the first time together to do a public panel, and they brought some of their awesome volumetric captures of people into the hub space just to see if it would work, first of all. And it was awesome to have these like high-res vol caps inside of a hub's space. And then we saw Dean Yates and his crew made a machinima where there was a giant chicken attacking one of our hub's neighborhoods. We did these machinima contests to get everybody to play together inside the world, right? Because you can bring everybody and then you can talk, but that's not really gonna create something. I think a key thing about VRTO that we wanted to maintain is that the line between the stage and the crowd is always going to be dissolved, and that everybody is a factor in this show. And we want to engender as much as possible ways for us to discover everybody's ideas and commingle them. Like I think it's important to get, and this goes back to like my days in indie music and all that, where it's like you want to get people from the ivory towers to come down and meet the punks on the street, and vice versa, because you never know, who's gonna crack open that next hole in the wall, which is the path that we need to take. And I fear, and this is why I remain in this, that if we're not careful about scribbling enough, that everything's going to start to feel really samey and homogenous. The VR world has been extraordinary in this new era of VR because it's been really conscientious. It's been about better representation, better across the board, like being really creative, being vigilant about ethics and privacy. What a lucky thing that this collective has focused in that direction. But we can't take that for granted. And I think even with best intentions, things foveate and they start to go down these like tunnels. And then you look around and you're like, man, everything really kind of feels sort of the same. And you need something that can just totally dismantle that and come at it with a totally new aesthetic, totally new vibe. 5Rs I maintain 5Rs for the reasons of that experiment. But the other day I was watching a movie on this streaming channel called Mubi, M-U-B-I, that curates like art house films and festival films. And there was a Japanese film called Labyrinth of Cinema. And oh my God, it was so incredibly different than anything else I've seen. The aesthetic was new, the style was new. And I was like, it's so important to be looking at the international picture from wherever you are. You know, I don't just mean like, I'm not trying to exoticize anything but the US. It's the opposite. It's like everything is in play. And if we can keep our eyes open to that level, then we can renovate and expand the true point of all of this effort that we put in. And the true point of it is to create energy for ourselves, to create better functional purpose for ourselves, and understanding between ourselves. So I never want to like settle back into some groove that's like, yeah, man, I got this VR tip now. Because then we're dead. So that's why I do VRTO. That's what we try to foster. It's harder to sell it that way, but the people who get it and love it are the gas in our tank, and we just want to expand that out.
Yeah, I love that point. Thank you for that. And to break things up a little bit, I want to say right now might be a great time to give away the secret code that allows someone to possibly win a ticket to this year's VRTO. What do you think?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
And now I'm going to say, just kidding. Gotcha. We're going to wait 5 more minutes. And if you're angry at me, please like this video. So for now, we're going to show the next video and you can tell us a little bit about that.
Okie doke. VRTO is a unique forum for philosophers and ontologists and creators and technologists to come together and discuss towards a solution-based process for finding frameworks to contend with the absolutely insane pace of technology and its advancement and its incorporation into our lives, and how it's becoming almost impossible to extricate ourselves from that. So this short annual symposium is a meetup point for people who really do have a concern and an interest in putting something on the line, something on the table, getting some skin in the fight, and hashing out solutions and potential pathways forward. I invite everybody to come to VRTO 2019, happening in Toronto, June 1st to 3rd. Toronto is an extraordinary crosswinds, and it's one of the greatest tech hubs in the world. The 5 universities that are nearby are constantly cross-pollinating with brand new ideas and bold and daring new cosmonauts, psychonauts, and adventurers into future space. So it is a unique town, it is a unique time, and I hope that everyone can make it out.
Oh, it looks so fun.
How come nobody invited me? That's my question, okay?
Well, I guess
I see
now
so many of my friends in there in that video. Like, so many cool people.
I feel the same way. But I guess now would be a good time to let people know that Lunch Hour VR is officially going to be at VRTO this year. So that's very, very exciting. Edwin and I are really stoked about it. And thank you to Keram and the VRTO team for the invitation. And I think we can do the giveaway now. People were mad at me. You can see in the comments. They were like bamboozled by Max Noir. Love it. All right. So do you want to do a timpani roll? And the code word is
hot guava.
I love guava.
You heard it here first, folks. Hot guava. So please comment in the video's comment section with hot guava for your chance to win your very own ticket to this year's VRTO.
So explain this hot guava. I want a sip of that. This sounds really good. It's like guava juice with a little bit of like a hotty guava juice.
It's the kind that you leave in the backseat of your car all day, and then
no.
You forget to bring a snack, and then you just eat it really fast, and in the parking lot.
Oh, I see. Okay. Hot guava.
And you might have regrets, but the aroma is like so overwhelmingly wonderful that you're just
okay.
I'm in hot guava
you
right now.
You sold me. Warm guava. Let's just
tepid guava. It doesn't sound quite as appealing.
Tepid guava.
Hot guava.
Hot guava.
I do want to talk about the fact that you will be at VRTO though, because this is super cool. Like we're going to be up in the flotilla, which is our floating sky city that's got all these other worlds tethered to it. And then every day, I think, basically almost every day, we're going to have like pirate radio, and the lunch hour team is going to be interviewing people behind the scenes, talking about like daily news from the flotilla, doing pirate transmissions, bringing people that are at the show, attendees, to talk about like their cool work and what they're doing. We're going to mix it up. It's going to be super dope. I'm excited about it.
So I have to say, we've got two, I'm guessing winners, right? The first one, Daniel, and not
so fast.
I predicted the second winner. When we first started talking about this, I have to say, I was right.
Not so fast. They're not winners yet, but they might become winners.
Now
so
I'm mad at myself.
So check the description in the video. It's all there.
We have to do battle on the back of camels.
And that's my fault. My bad. I should read. I should learn to read. That's my problem. Okay.
Edwin has kids, guys. We got to give him a break.
Yeah, little one.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, I'm going to play a little bit from the last video, and then you can tell us a little bit about that.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
All right.
So that's a bit from 5 Rs.
Okay, so I need some explanation. This is pretty dope. I love the mix of 360 video, that's the kind of work that I, love and do. And then the mix of AR. So can you explain a little bit about what this project is and how can I get me some?
Well, we actually have submissions are open right now. They all the way up until September. So if somebody does want to submit, you can go to filmfreeway.com/5Rs to submit your work. That was the teaser trailer of some of the pieces that were at the show in late 2020. And then that video actually goes into the whole 5Rs awards that we did at the end, which is super fun to watch. It was all done in hubs. People wore their best ball gowns, and we did a whole awards show. Brought all the speakers up and had them present up on the big screen. It was really, really kind of wonderful to have this global group of content creators there together, meeting for the first time, seeing each other's work. True joy. Hard to pull off, but mainly the reason it's hard to pull off is concurrent users is hard on the web, in WebXR spaces. So that's actually improving a lot. And to give a little nugget of what's happening in this world at the time of this recording, there's a thing called the OMI, which is an initiative where a lot of these different WebXR developers have created a consortium of sorts. And some of them used to be other smaller groups, like there was the M3 group, and there was the expats that came from Mozilla, or that came from Pluto, or not Pluto the planet, but like all these different groups that are coming together to talk about how to create interoperability between these WebXR systems, because they're not going to wait for Facebook or Google to figure that out, that's for sure. And these are all independents, really, and they're like, how do we make this better, faster, stronger? It's time. Some of these people have been working on this stuff for 20 years, 25 years. They're tired. They need consolidation and support. And the effort is to also keep it decentralized, right? Like the whole point of this is to have it be decentralized. I want to say to that, I was thinking about this film I made back in 2004 called The Charge of the 08 Zaya. And it was a script that I'd written based on IRC chat logs that I had in 1992 when I met this group of internet service providers that were running the Canada's first internet hosting service. It was called Internex Online. And I somehow found my way into that group because my sister was like an assistant to the manager. And they were building the first like public internet onboarding. And we created this whole little universe out of it called the Sky Pirates. And we had a wooden spaceship called the 08 Zaya. And in 2004, I turned it into a script. And the script was about these hackers who embody inside of this wooden spaceship to fight against the corporate empire and the serious vampires. And then eventually they get taken over by these Werbers, which are like banner ads and like spam and paywalls. And they have to defeat it by playing the magical note H sharp. And I haven't put it out yet, but I'm going to put it out this year. And it's interesting to go now almost 20 years later and see that the harbinger that was the concern, like that we would be funneled into these silos that are controlled by central panopticon, like corporate overlords, is precisely where we're at. And we have to kick against the pricks as hard as possible and like keep distribution channels for everybody else, like open, thriving, and alive. So yeah, I mean, 5Rs and VRTO are an extension of that. And it's that spirit of like, we can build this together. And I think that the WebXR world right now is that kind of place. It's early territory that it's like self-organizing, hoping to stay decentralized, democratic in its way. And it's hard as hell, but it's breathtaking to watch happen again.
Oh, I really loved that. We do have a question from Elena in the audience. Great to know submissions are still open. I'm working with a team from the UK on an immersive storytelling experience. What are your tips for standing out in festival applications?
Oh man, that's a really...
I need to know this too.
Well, let me put it this way. Just be brave in what you do. Sometimes we get 5 extraordinary pieces about outer space or 5 extraordinary pieces about underwater exploration. And the fact is, the one that we will likely see get chosen by the jury is something that's doing something we haven't seen before. It doesn't have to be the most polished, perfect thing, but 5Rs is not like a tribute so much as it is the thin edge of the wedge. I think certain things would be accepted to my colleagues at Sundance or Tribeca or other festivals because it's sound, it's professional, it's polished. That doesn't mean it has to be scrappy. It just means that likely what we will pick is something that teaches our audiences something interesting that they haven't seen before. That could be how to shoot it, how to finish it, how to pilot it. It has to work. It has to be functional and operational. And one thing, and not make people sick. So that's a criteria, is like, understand best practices and something that can be used by anybody while being bold and daring. And then sometimes, like, we'll go back to the content creator if there's something really that we appreciate and say, hey, this could be viable, but consider, maybe cutting out that strobing sequence. Consider making this more accessible, or adding menus or items that could make this more accessible. And they do. And we have this like recursion before the show to get a piece like more into position. But just like, honestly, just be yourself, be bold and daring, and just make sure that it's packageable, easy to run, all of the basics.
Awesome.
Very nice. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. These things always go so fast. Time flies when you're having fun. But guys, you still have the opportunity to win a ticket to VRTO. The instructions are in the description of the video, and we will be announcing the 2 winners next week on lunch hour. So you still have time. So smash that subscribe button and yada, yada, yada. And if you want to buy a ticket to the show, you can head on over to their website, conference.virtualreality.to, and pick yourself up a ticket. Lastly, I would like to encourage everyone to consider becoming a Patreon and helping to support our show, because we put so much work into it, and we would love your support so we can keep getting bigger and better and stronger.
I love your show too, by the way. I'm just a big fan.
And we love you.
And I just wanted to thank everybody in the comments here. I don't know how visible this is to everybody, but wow, all my friends, you're all so wonderful. And thank you for being here. And I wish I could see you all, but nice to have you all in the same place. So thanks for showing up.
Lastly, I usually don't do this, but I want to add a selfish plug. I'm working on a VR NFT gallery, and so I'd love if anyone check it out, give me some feedback,
Nice.
or buy NFTs. The first exhibition is like sketches and photography, mostly my work, and So
I saw it the other day. He showed me a preview, and it looks beautiful. It's like one of the best looking virtual galleries I've seen so far. So follow up on that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, and Lisi, we love you. We love you.
Lisi.
We love everyone here. So thanks for joining. Thank you again, Keram. Thank you, Edwin. And I hope to see everybody on the interwebs and next week. So enjoy life, everybody. Take care. Bye.